Hello there, I'm Tawagi Konagawa and today I will be doing a replay analysis for one of my drivers, Savage Horvey. He's been grinding the track Gunsai Drift, which is by far the hardest track in the game to grip race on. There is a reason why it was the first track to be given a time attack version. This video is going to be one of many videos aimed at helping him as well as everyone else watching to improve their grip racing abilities. If there is any subject in particular you would like further explanation on, expect a video on it in the near future. My extended absence from YouTube was not planned. As I continued the grip racing grind, I started to learn just how much I didn't know. I have only come back because I have the confidence to say the things I am going to teach you with certainty. Thank you to everyone who's stuck around with me this long. Without further delay, let's get into the analysis. Let's take a quick look at turns 1 and 2, comparing them with my specialist run. Here we are looking at the moment of turning. This is the moment just before we begin pointing the front of the car towards the apex. Notice how my moment of turning occurs much sooner and farther away from the apex. This allows for a smaller amount of steering sustained for a longer time. This means I'll have a higher average speed throughout the corner, and a slower approach to the tire's limit of grip. Notice how Savage's moment of turning occurs at the same time as his braking. This is actually a very safe way to corner, since braking reduces tire stress caused by speed as you increase tire stress caused by steering. The problem is, since his moment of turning was so late, he has a smaller window of time to turn towards the apex, which means he has less time to do the same amount of turning, and needs to slow down more than I do to avoid slipping. Next, let's look at the apex and corner exit. Here we see that our distances from the apex are pretty similar, which is good. Your car is actually more sensitive to grass on non-TA maps, so in a race environment, it's better to be a little cautious. I'd say his apex was mostly ideal. His corner exit is where we will see a big difference. Notice how much closer my exit gets to the outside of the track, and how much farther it extends after the apex. This comes from straightening the steering sooner and more slowly after the apex, allowing for higher exit speeds and a wider entry into turn 2. Savage doesn't get quite as far out, and achieves max corner extension a lot sooner as seen by the distance from the road sign on the left side of the road. In turn 2, the mistakes from turn 1 are also carried over. Here we see that Savage has once again hit the apex pretty well, but notice the flame coming from the exhaust. He's braking on the apex, which while safe is actually pretty slow. It's faster to brake sooner, because if you brake sooner you can get away with braking less, and be fully accelerating through the apex. This does require some pretty smooth and precise steering input, but it's definitely something you can learn with enough practice. Here we see another shallow exit which can be fixed with some simple early and smooth straightening of the steering. Let's watch both runs together to see how large the difference is. Here we see that the difference in distance from each car to the yellow tree is about 1 car length. That may not sound like a lot, but almost every corner loses Savage an entire car length if not more, which adds up throughout the entire track. Let's take a look at how he takes the death trap that is turn 3. It's very good that he managed to take turn 3 without slipping or cutting the grass. However, I think we can all agree that it seemed a bit out of rhythm and slowish. After all, most people will actually just drift this corner and sacrifice the speed because of how deceptive this corner seems. Thankfully there is a better and faster way. What Savage needs to do is create as much distance from himself and the apex as possible by staying to the right. The wider the angle of entry, the more speed can be carried because less steering is required. Let's see the difference in how we both took turn 3. Note. Notice how much longer Savage was on the brakes for? Let's watch that again but slower and with brake indicated. Taking turn 3 well is important because of the long straight that follows it. What follows it however is even more tricky. A narrow wavy entrance into Spoon Corner. Let's see how well Savage takes it. When entering Spoon Corner, two things are very important. Getting close to the grass, and entering as deeply as possible. Here we see Savage leave a bit of a cushion for the first patch of grass, and cut a bit through the second. This isn't too bad, but it's much better to cut the first patch than the second. This is because cutting the first patch gives a better line for diving deep into the corner. Let's look at why we want to be diving deep into Spoon Corner. Spoon Corner is taken fastest when treated as a double apex hairpin. There are multiple reasons for this. For starters, it is the shortest line you can take without hugging the innermost line. Hugging the innermost line is significantly slower because the corner tightens more and more as you go through it. This means you would need to constantly adjust your speed going through it in order to not slip, sacrificing exit speed as a result. The second reason is that there is one clear deceleration zone, and one clear acceleration zone, so no dancing between the pedals. This also means you can get on the tower sooner and stay on it with less worrying about slipping. The final reason is tire stress. The straightest line through a corner usually tends to be the fastest and the least stressful on the tires. If you take an unnecessarily wide line through Spoon Corner to try and hit a single apex, you stress the tires more upon turning because of the sharper sustained turning angle. Once you do hit the apex, you will be forced to slow down in order to grip the inner line, or forced to cover more ground by taking a wider exit. If you tend to get rammed going into Spoon Corner, I'm sorry to tell you it's usually your fault. The line you probably take usually has a very wide entry and involves slowly hugging the inside before cutting across the optimal exit line. Don't take a crappy line, get edged wide, or punted, and get angry. No one feels sorry for you. You dived across the optimal line with no warning. Learn to stop making the same mistakes. Let's take a look at and see if Savage took the correct line. Let's look at what more of an optimal line looks like. Important note. It's okay to dance between the pedals if it's during corner entry. I do this when entering Spoon Corner or the first corner of Grange. This is because they come after long straights, and I would not be able to carry speed into the corner if I'm only on the brakes once. As long as you are flat-footed as you accelerate out of the corner, then you aren't losing time due to the pedals. If you've watched this far into the video, thank you. I'm going to cut part 1 of the analysis here for time's sake. Expect part 2 in the near future. Thank you for watching.